Hello, everybody, and welcome back for our second match of the day, of a full day of best of twos. We got CLG Academy taking on Team Liquid Academy, and yeah, for everybody tuning in, this is now when Bjergsen plays. Let's get the elephant out of the addressed in the room right now, because obviously a lot of fans will be checking out his performance after the 1-1 game split yesterday. It was a tie, Joshi, so Bjergsen already not having the most explosive start, but he was playing things like the Zillion, so he's definitely having fun with it. But what we want to do going into this match is focus more on some of the new up-and-coming names to set the tone for the series and have some other names to highlight for you. In particular, the bot lane matchup between these two rosters. Prismal taking on Jan here. And Joshi, both of these players have had very similar kind of journeys to get to this academy point.
It really is. Like, both these guys have been consistently towards the top of whatever league that they've been playing in. Jan playing with 100 Thieves next, and then having a lot of success with Team Liquid Academy, whereas Prismal has been in a very strong leadership role for every roster that he has been on. And you're kind of seeing the difference in some of their stats that they come through. You're noticing that Prismal has much higher KDA but lower KP, and feels like a big part of this comes from the fact that Prismal is much more willing to just kind of say, yes, we're fighting this, or no, we're not. He's one of those shot callers that we were talking about with FlyQuest earlier that is going to be one of the people diving in.
Also, Prismal had a pretty rough game of Aphelios yesterday. Went right back to that Ezreal that we know he can pilot as well. So I think a lot of the stats are skewing definitely from that first game results. Obviously, these stats are going to be skewed because it's one day of information. There's not a lot to pull from here. But yeah, Rafa, Jan and Prismal, again, just having similar journeys. Jan was either first place or second place in every single tournament that he competed in throughout all of the 2020 to 2021 calendar season, except for that fizzling spring performance in Proving Grounds last year on Team Liquid, which was a surprise for everybody. But outside of that one blemish, I'm seeing only 1s and 2s on the entire Leaguepedia page. So Jan is a player I've been hyped about. Are you matching the hype? Do you believe as well?
Oh, yeah. I've been crazy excited about this guy ever since he came up for 100 Thieves next towards the summer, right? Because he didn't start out originally on that roster. It was originally Otto and Poom, but then once Poom graduated, Otto role swapped over to support, and then they brought in Jan, and then Jan was just trying to play weak side AD carry for the most of the time because you were playing towards a very heavy top side in Chemi and Tenacity. But Jan has stepped up to the plate. We even saw some heavy carry performances despite some losses in the lock-in tournament when he filled in for Team Liquid's main LCS squad.
Yeah, and I think Jan is a player I've had my eyes on for the last year. I think he was overlooked a little bit because of other names in the scene, like the Lugers, like even Prismal, who had a lot of eyes on him last year. So I think it's really cool that we get this matchup so early on in the season, because Prismal, if anybody remembers that legendary Golden Guardians Academy run through Proving Grounds last summer, they got top 3. They finished 3rd place after a very historic run from kind of low in the standings all the way through that lower bracket as well. And then also still pretty decent performances through things like Challengers Uprising, Giant Slayer, etc. So this is a matchup I'm happy that we can highlight going into the day. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of people here to look at the mid lane matchup too, but don't forget, they're still developing talent. But I'm hearing that we're ready for Pig and Ban, everybody. So I'm going to pass it over to the casters to take it away for match 2.
Thanks, Kangas. And just to kind of follow up on what Kangas has been highlighting about these two player matchups, obviously we talked a lot about where Jan came from, but Prismal, and he didn't necessarily have as a decorative first and second place finishes for the teams that he performed on, but he has always been a bright spot of those teams that he's played on. 100 Thieves Academy, it's the reunion of Prismal and Breezy, right? Back from
Breezy.
Breezy. That's the dual name that we're trying to sell right now.
They don't like it very much.
Well, okay, they don't like Brismal. They didn't like Brismal.
I don't like Prismal either. It sounds dismal.
Well, that's Cubby's fault. So we can blame Cubby again. See, See, Josh, I like working with you because we both have this love for bullying Cubby. You know, it's how we show affection. But
it is, yeah. I also want to, before we get too far into the pick ban, I do want to highlight a more important achievement that Prismal has achieved than any of his League of Legends competitive achievements. If I remember correctly, isn't he a speedrun world record holder for Yuumi jungle clears?
Oh, yeah, that's true. Prismal does have that. Now, we've gone through the 3 bans on both the sides for CLG Academy and Team Liquid. multiple support bans, actually. So the Karma Thresh, and then the nod to Bjergsen Zillion, and then CLG were hovering back and forth between two of the best ADCs that were still left up in the Jinx and the Aphelios, but it's the Corki that is locked in right away.
Okay, this Akshan is also exciting if it does end up getting locked in. There's still a lot of picks available with the Corki already taken. I would not be surprised if we just go for something mid lane. Vex is typically not the most common answer to the Corki, but definitely a big playmaking champion available to Bjergsen, and it will allow him to roam really effectively. Now, Bjergsen, yesterday, I kind of feel didn't get the fairest opportunity to showcase how strong of a player he can still be, because the rest of the map was so volatile that it's kind of like, well, by the time Bjergsen was online, the game had mostly been decided.
Team Liquid are going to move ahead and lock down their AD carry pick. This does now leave this final pick to either be a secure of a support to match up with the Jinx. Obviously, no Thresh available since it was already taken away by CLG. Or they could look for a jungler since that pool is kind of wide open, which is what CLG might look to do. Rosethorn hovering this Jarvan, and that is one way to lock down an AD carry like Jinx, who outside of Flash does not have any way to escape outside of the Cataclysm.
Is also very much a Rosethorn champion, as we see. Well, likely is going to be the AD carry. He's going to be the Aphelios picked up for Prismal, which he, again, did not have the greatest game on yesterday. But this Jarvan, very similar in a lot of ways to the Rek'Sai that we saw him play yesterday to great effect. Rosethorn, very well known as being one of these more solo queue junglers that directly made the jump into Academy and looked really good because he's got these killer instincts where he's willing to go for plays that a lot of these more competitive fives players typically aren't going to be going for.
And unlike some of the new talent, Rosethorn has already had a full years of Academy under his belt now. He's still, not as experienced as some of the other members, of course, like Palafox or Prismal or Bjergsen, but Rosethorn at least has now had some time to play in Academy and get some competitive fundamentals into his system, and he's, as long as he's not losing that killer instinct, which we clearly saw with the Rek'Sai game that worked out so well against Cloud9 Academy in their second game, Rosethorn can still find these avenues to snowball his lanes. We are in the second phase. Team Liquid answered back with Viego, and they're going to open up the floor by banning away some supports.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, too, like comparing what players are like in-game to their out-of-game personas, and I feel like Rosethorn is one of those people that if you meet him, you wouldn't necessarily expect him to be this really aggressive style of jungler. He's kind of like that, all according to Keikaku, kind of people in real life, or at least how he presents in interviews, right? Very even keel, very ready to go for anything, but in-game, it feels like a new monster is born every single time he loads onto the Rift.
Sometimes, when you get to play video games, you get to unleash a side of you that you normally don't get to do, in real life when you show, right? And so, that's what makes
I play
playing... Well, what does that say about you?
I'm kind of small, but don't make me angry, Mark. You saw what happened to Kangas. And Cubby, you're next.
Oh god, okay. I'll keep my wits about me. Another support ban has been made. I'm not sure what the last bit on the last support from Team Liquid, if they just let it go through, or if we don't have any information on what that champion was, but definitely wasn't Rakan, because Team Liquid locked it in for themselves. And so now this locks down the bottom lane, and once again, Team Liquid playing towards Bradley, giving him the opportunity to have counterpick against Okla.
And it's always important to make sure that you are going to have these important counterpicks, especially for somebody like Bradley, who is relatively new to the top lane. We are still seeing that his mechanics are there. He's actually farming incredibly well, even in matchups when he's losing, which is really, really impressive up in the top lane. And last time, we saw that there was a Tryndamere versus Akali up top. I would be surprised if we saw Bradley try and repeat that matchup, simply because it did not go in his favor. And when you have a ganking jungler like Rosethorn on Jarvan, it would take a very, very confident Bradley to go for that same kind of style.
The Akali has been locked in here. We already have seen the debut and the performances of Chem Tank Akali and how well it can do and perform on the Rift, thanks to Surti, who think gave us our first game of Stream 1 for Evil
Jimmy
Geniuses
played it too.
Academy. Yeah. And now Alistar is going to be the lock-in for Breezy, so this gives them hard engage options, which then means Bradley is going to dip down into the Sylas, and he has plenty of awesome ultimates to grab.
He really does. The Cataclysm is fantastic, but more than anything, just being able to grab the Alistar Unbreakable Will and basically become invincible with crazy sustain at the same time for such a long period of a team fight. Sylas is looking pretty darn good here, but this is absolutely a very volatile top lane. I know we were talking about Prisma and Yam, but I feel like we're going to have to pay a lot of attention to the top lane all of a sudden, as both Dokla and Bradley like to fight. Dokla absolutely demolishing Lauren's top lane last time, and ultimately I would not be surprised if we saw blows come to blows over and over again between these two top laners.
We already saw that between Bradley and Surdy. Things are getting frisky between them. There's a solo kill from Surdy in game 1, and then Bradley also got a solo kill back in game 2. Now for Dokla here, he also had he had opportunities to show that he could get a solo kill as well when he played the Aurelia up against Lawrence in game 2.
Yep.
So both of these top laners, I feel like more than anything, I want to see the camera just on the top side of the map for like the first 3 minutes. Like unless Rosethorn decides to say, you know what, I understand how volatile top lane is. I'm going to do a cheese gank from level 1 and then just come top side and just really put Bradley behind it. The explosiveness will really just be towards that side of the map.
Yeah, and it's really hard for Team Liquid to try and contest anything that Rosethorn would try and go for early, just because of how strong Rosethorn is in the early game, and also the fact that he is playing a ganking jungler, right? Jarvan's level 2 is stronger than the vast majority of other junglers, and if he does choose to go for something a little bit cheeky, Team Liquid are not going to be in a spot where they can contest the 2v2.
We're on the Rift, though, for game 1. This does...
The Whift. The Whift.
The Whift?
That's what I call Wild Rift.
Have you played Wild Rift yet?
I have not. I have it installed.
Okay, you've taken the first step.
See, I told you, Rosethorn just going for aggressive plays early.
And he's just throwing down the flag, showing dominance already. Bam.
Bam.
That's how you got to do it, though, as the Jarvan. He's going to get his ward in, going to recall early, swap over to the Red Trinket. And now Rosethorn is pathing towards the bottom side of the map. Oh, man. Okay. So from here, Rosethorn can go for an aggressive 3-camp clear, or if he wants to be super aggressive, he can red buff and then gank.
True.
I want to see it.
The thing is, it's a lot harder now that this ward is down, right? Like, he has to take a very imaginative path in order to take anybody by surprise. He could go directly bot lane, but the thing is, it's a lot harder to do that bot lane simply because there's not a lot of tools available to help him out at level 1. Like, Breezy would have to flash Pulverize if they wanted to find anything onto Yon or Rhino. They do know that Armeo is going to be starting on the top side, and Rosethorn is now revealing himself at the Raptors. So we get to see the first couple of camps, and it's very obvious to both teams exactly what paths both junglers are likely to go for from this position.
And thanks to the ward from Breezy. Nice intel for CLG. Rosethorn is going to clear out his Raptor camp, make his way on up over towards the top side. There's even a deep ward that Bradley is able to get in on top of the Gromp as well, because they know that standard level 3 clear, now you can go for red Raptors into Gromp, and that's not only super healthy because you got the HP sustained back after killing the Gromp, but then it's also faster than trying to go for the blue buff. But they have perfect intel on this, so Bradley, while pushing in this wave, knows that he still has time before Rosethorn can make his trek on over towards the top side of the map, and this will put Dokla a little far back in the lane.
Yeah. Can I tell you one of the reasons why Cubby cracks me up and why color casters should never be allowed to like actually brag about their games?
Why is that?
It is because last time I watched Cubby play this matchup of Rakan versus Alistar, he made us watch a replay of him auto-spacing Alistar. You remember that?
Yeah, I do. I remember the call. It was super
it's like, I was thinking about this yesterday. I was going through some of my own ranked games, and it's one of those situations where, and when we see this in the games, we nerd out really heavily about them, and it becomes like a little embarrassing. Like, why do you know that? But it's one of those things where it's like, I really want to make these like replays of me sitting around and doing something that looks really, really simple, but it's like, yo, check out this super tiny optimization I had that my opponent had no idea about. And so far, Rhino has not quite been able to do the copy.
And a level 3 advantage for the bottom lane here.
There
Oh
goes
my
Rosethorn.
god.
Same gank as yesterday.
Look at the same exact place where he was on the Rek'Sai, and they get it done for Prismal. It's first blood.
Same place, same gank, same level 3 coming down. Now Jan.
Oh, beautiful root on the Gravitum Gum as well. CLG Academy playing towards that strong bot side.
What a great opener coming out from Rosethorn. Clears out so many jungle camps and comes down with the same ganking route. Again, this is something that most other junglers won't go for because you're devoting a lot of time walking into the enemy side of the jungle. But Rosethorn able to get behind, and there's no way, there's absolutely zero chance that Team Liquid are ready for this. If they haven't gotten a ward down early on, there's nothing that they can do, and they're not likely to ward themselves.
Now, Team Liquid Academy are going to go for a pressure play of their own, but flash from Breezy catches out Bjergsen. He still has flash available, but has the flash away. The stun comes out,
nice.
But Rhino, beautiful grand entrance, going to buy a lot of time. Should guarantee that Bjergsen will be able to get out safely.
Okay, still back and forth in all these fights, but the end result is still just only kills going over in favor of CLG. And we saw that when they were able to get an early lead yesterday up against Cloud9, they just snowballed the game. There is not a lot left to say and do. I thought we were going to pay attention to the top side, but so far it's all jungle.
Rhino not getting the nice welcome back treatment in the lane. He's just trying to make his way back over to Jan to, you know, do his support duties, but Breezy making that journey a little bit more difficult. Aside from the exciting opener, so far, laning phase, at least the solo lanes for Palafox and Dokla, going even for the most part. And we haven't really seen as much action between the Akali and the Sylas as I expected. Maybe that'll change once they are level 6 and have access to their ultimate abilities.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to the fact that Rosethorn chose the opposite side of the map, right? And now that we say that, we're also seeing that CLG is coordinating really well across the bottom side. They have 3 pink wards in the bottom river, which makes it very difficult for Team Liquid to have any sort of control over this upcoming dragon. The one thing that they do have is it looks like they will be spotting out Jarvan on this last ward that they have here, and Armeo will spot them, but it's going to be difficult to try and actually contest this because he doesn't know that Rosethorn doesn't have Smite.
Can Armeo sneak it in? Unfortunately, the Scuttle Crab being kited towards the bottom side of the map where Breezy can assist. Prismal doesn't have Gravitum once again to set up for a route into an Alistar combo. However, Breezy is walking up forward and not allowing Jan and Rhino to really be able to interact with the wave. A little too far for a Rosethorn to jump in on, but still, the pressure is being felt. And Jan and Rhino just have to back up and respect it.
Yeah. Okay, Rosethorn, again, paying a lot of attention down here. So it's not the top lane that we're paying a lot of attention to. It is the bottom lane like we had originally supposed. And look at this damage that we're going to get starting to put down. Prismal with all of the red and white guns. So many chakrams lined up, ready to go.
And it helps them shred through the turret platings as well. It is really, that was their first real time to get a lot of quality moments with the turret to grind the plating. Palafox roaming on over, knowing that Bjergsen just coming back from base. Rosethorn does have Smite available. Neither have Empowered Smite, so it's the 450 mark. And beautifully executed Rosethorn, comboing it with the Dragon Strike. Gets it down and secured away from Armeo.
Nice. So I also really like very small optimization that we saw coming out from Rosethorn and Breezy, right? They gave Rosethorn the last hit on the ward. And again, it's like 10 gold that your team is getting that you wouldn't otherwise get, which is not very important. But what it does show is it shows your players are constantly thinking about the game. They're constantly making these small optimizations, and when you're doing that, you're not going to get leads off of that, but you are going to get leads off of when those critical thinking skills matter later. You're going to be priming yourselves for all kinds of mechanical interactions, and you're not going to be surprised.
For CLG Academy, it could be the difference maker in a team fight where if you're thinking about which cooldowns are up or which ultimates have already been expended, it allows Prismal to be far more aggressive as a backliner, right? We saw in the World Finals last year, and then a breakdown of how Viper was able to carry on the game-winning fight for EDG. is that they were constantly talking to each other about which cooldowns were up. It's like, okay, is it safe for me to flash aggressively forward? That can be very important in a game like this as well.
And we're also seeing that, you know, just the thinking about where all of your wards are a little bit different now, because Rosethorn and Breezy are already up here. They have Palafox with the package, and they're going to be hitting the Rift Herald. And this is surprising because Team Liquid are the ones who have invested a lot of their vision into the top side of the map, but they're not going to be getting the Rift Herald. They're too weak to actually contest it. And Prismal moving around. Is he going to get caught by Armeo, or is he going to catch Armeo?
Red and white. He's got powerful gums. Armeo's forced to use the Heartbreaker just as a escape tool. Thankfully, gets to maintain and hold his flash. Bjergsen got out, though. Doesn't have flash from before. The dive available, and a beautiful catch out. The fear from the his spells, you know. We're still learning Vex,
spells,
by the way. Yeah. I remember Doom and Gloom on the passive and Looming Shadow, and that's it. I've just
personal space.
Personal space, that's what it is.
I know that from TFT, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
See, TFT teaching things about Summoner's Rift.
Yeah, but they also use like the wrong names all the time. So if it's like not that, I just wouldn't be surprised. But it is still enough for them to get another kill here. A kill going over to Palafox, and Corki, not normally known for their early game power, right? It's a champion that you really look at as once Miramon is complete, then you get to start playing the game. But Bradley...
Oh, perfect execution. Dokla, Bradley trying to use his own hijack of it just as escape tools. It's a flash for Ignite Burn, and Dokla is going to maintain control.
Dokla... couple of interesting things to note. One, not going for the Chemtech build, right? They're actually going for, I mean, that could be Night Harvester. It's probably the build that he's actually going for, right? You know, it does a lot of early game damage, but it does mean that you're not going to be nearly as tanky with this kind of build on the Akali. So you are required to actually get the damage down a lot faster. You're going back to the more traditional burst champion, and against a team like Team Liquid, where they don't actually have a true dedicated front line, makes a lot of sense, because they're not going to have the same kind of lockdown available to them.
Yeah, if that's the case as well, I would be a big fan of Protobelt. You get extra penetration, and then no one from the side of Team Liquid Academy will be building that much magic resist, at least early on. So that's a huge early mid-game spike that you'll have, and allows you to kind of bridge the early game alongside Rosethorn so that you have your scaling pieces like the Corki and the Aphelios to be given a little bit of breathing room as we get into the later stages of the game.
You also have to know where the consistent damage is going to be coming from Team Liquid, right? You know, if Armeo gets to start popping off and you start getting resets between the Veiga and the Jinx, that's its own problem. But if you have a team composition that is just going to be focused around keeping Jan alive throughout these long fights, and he's going to be at a range where it's going to be kind of difficult for players to actually get to him, suddenly you just have one target that you need to focus down. Vex isn't going to be doing the consistent damage.
All about playmaking for Vex and looking for opportunities to catch multiple members of CLG by surprise, empowering her abilities with the fear from the Doom and Gloom. The rest of Team Liquid Academy trying to defend Jan and Rhino from another dive attempt that CLG are currently looking to manifest. Getting some vision control back in their stead through this quadrant entrance as Armeo looking to loop around. Might be entering through the river, but Palafox has first say. But just as I say that, Bjergsen might look for that Mistral Bolt and has to respect the flash. Definitely could have taken the Shadow Surge to jump right on top.
Don't know if you had the Valkyrie up, but either way, surviving Breezy goes in.
Nice. Flash, pulverize, into headbutt. That's the kill for CLG.
Very easily executed. You have very clear go buttons with this roster, and Rosethorn still has his ultimate available. Prismal.
Oh. It looked like Rosethorn was a little bit of crept block light there. I was walking in between the rift. I was like, I can't move. It's too thick.
Too many.
He gets out though. He's alive.
It definitely feels like how many toddlers could you fight? Okay, Bradley.
We're fighting toddlers? Wait a minute.
Minions.
Oh, okay.
How many of them could you fight? Depends. What level am I?
That's true.
Okay,
perfect execution. Double perfect execution. Second cast, but Dokla is right there on the money, knowing that Bradley didn't have flash from before. And that's going to be the solo kill for CLG.
the difference between taking Ignite versus taking Flash, right? It's on a much shorter cooldown with your aggressive summoner spells, and Dokla just able to find another solo kill. This volatile top lane currently going in favor of CLG after Bradley got to have the counter pick. So Dokla, again, kind of stepping up. He's been looking pretty decent so far this year, despite the fact that last year when he was playing for Team Liquid, it felt like they were kind of struggling to actually win with him simply because they were so reliant on Jenkins to find a lot of their leads. Oh, they got him.
No. Oh, no. Breezy's in a bad spot, and I don't think CLG is really in a position to facilitate his escape. He was looking for the Hex Flash, but just heads-up play from Rhino, catching him with the Grand Entrance. That's ground beef on the menu for Team Liquid.
Yeah, I mean, it's a simple mistake. A small timing window that he was not able to get, but Rosethorn, that's no E.
Rosethorn still has Flash. Doesn't necessarily want to have to use it. Rhino's not going to expend the quickness quite yet. It's a game of chicken to see who's going to burn ultimate cooldown and abilities first. Bjergsen is pushing in this minion wave, but his Prismal is on this side of the map, so they can always defend the turret. Not necessarily jungle camps. Armeo will be able to walk away with this one, but Rosethorn
It's revenge.
is going to look for the Cataclysm right on the two people. Moonlight Vigil follows up. Rhino is gone. Super Mega Death Rocket is answered from Yon, but it's not enough damage burst. And now look at Dokla. He's here on the teleport flank. He finds the Shuriken backflip, finds the mark onto Yon. He's gone. Bradley still on the run as well, flashing away, but Dokla still has perfect execution. Oh my god, Dokla's just popping off.
Yeah, he's got the Hextech Protobelt completed at this point. He's got a lot of movement available to him, and it just feels like CLG are always the ones willing to pull the trigger, right? Team Liquid are getting a little bit lost. A similar thing was happening to FlyQuest earlier, where they weren't necessarily ready to go for a lot of these plays. They didn't have like an end goal of why they were where they were. Rosethorn, however, has been completely on top of whenever something is happening. Is like, okay, we're going for this, and everybody willing to follow it up, finding an easy 2 kills immediately. And from there, it's just Dokla showing up saying, oh, we're fighting? Yeah, I'm down to fight. Finds Yon, and then immediately is able to turn on with the ultimate onto Bradley.
Just watching it back over in the replay, and it's just clean gameplay from Dokla in the top lane. And this is, compared to some of the carry performances he tried to show for Team Liquid towards the his summer entrance and then for Proving Grounds, and there's some definitely big moments, but man, the way he is really strutting his stuff in Game 1 against Team Liquid Academy is just huge. And CLG are great to pivot off of it. They're going to be dedicating a lot of members towards the top side of the map with this Rift Herald Crash. Meanwhile, Team Liquid prepping a 3-man dive onto Dokla on the bottom side of the map. They want to shut this guy down, and he has perfect execution. Can he get away from it? Shuriken backflip going on to one, looking for the...
Oh my god.
Big dunks if I've ever seen it. Oh man, Dokla outplays the 1v3.
And they're diving the opposite side of the map as well. Yon's gonna go down.
Yon goes... Oh my god, wait, Joshi!
16 minutes!
I'm at a loss for words. 16 minutes. CLG Academy have successfully broken open the base. Dokla still defending the turret with his life despite the 1v3 dive attempt. Bjergsen really wants to send Dokla back to the fountain, though. They get the shutdown, but at what cost?
I mean, this is technically a positive gold play simply because of how much money they're going to be getting out of these objective bounties, but the fact that you are losing that much map pressure, your top lane wave will never bounce back again without one of your champions going up there is such a huge problem for their ability to play with tempo on the map. Now, they're the first ones to this dragon. Palafox hunting to see if anybody is still around, and it's going to be another objective going over in favor of CLG, and I have to imagine these objective bounties probably aren't going away this game because CLG are going to win before Team Liquid can equalize.
8,000 gold lead is very hard to overcome at 17 minutes into the game. You would have to be hoping that CLG Academy can stall or just don't close out the game. And just look at this replay. I mean, God, the movement from Dokla.
Dokla, just super clean, right? It's why you see Dokla come up quite often in terms of like these highlights and why he's got the big dokes. Right behind him, and everybody in chat is super down to continue seeing this guy succeed. I feel like so far this year he's going to continue having a lot of success up against a lot of these teams that aren't necessarily quite as coordinated early in the season, and maybe as they figure it out it'll become a little bit less pronounced unless he can continue to improve at an even rapider rate.
Yeah. Now, just to let everyone know, we are in a pause at the moment. We're not sure what the issue is. Joshi's gonna continue staring at the nameplate.
No, Bobby.
I think, you know, it's kind of endearing. It just goes to show how much Stream 1 misses Cubby. And, you know, if you want to go catch Cubby, he's actually casting over with Mad Magical and Mazel over on Stream 2, twitch.tv/Faceit. They've got games and series of their own. Now, we are getting word for the player pause, and so all right. Yeah, we just wanted to clear
Nature
it up
calls.
Here. Yeah. It's nothing to be panicked about. Just a little personal emergency.
We're good.
But everything will be resolved. But we're gonna be, you know, just kind of chilling for the next couple of minutes until the players are able to get back into the lobby. Now, at this point in the game, Josh, we've already kind of hinted on it. It is an 8,000 gold deficit that Team Liquid currently have.
It's
You're
me.
Joshi now. We did it.
We did it. We finally did it. Sora's and Smash. Anyway.
Josh, Kangas is egging us on from the green screen. He wants to disclose why we're in a pause.
I already said.
Oh, really? I didn't catch it.
Nature calls.
That's a very
polite way.
Yeah, it's an indirect way of saying it.
I gotta say, I've seen a lot of pauses. Right, most of the time it's like, I can't deal with the ping. There's some communications issues. It's like, guy, I cannot hold it. I don't know who it is, but just know, you know, we enjoy it. It's kind of like one of those gentle reminders that, like, oh yeah, they're people.
Sometimes it happens. When you gotta go, right?
You gotta go. But anyway, the big thing here is Team Liquid has to figure out when they're going to be going, because it is a pretty desperate position. And when push comes to shove, you typically look at a lot of the veterans to be these playmakers. And Bjergsen is on this playmaking vex. And if we can see him step up to the plate and be the leader that Team Liquid Academy need right now, it's a very tall mountain to climb. But in theory, they can get there.
Yeah, I like, it would take a lot out of Team Liquid Academy to get there, but, you know, there's a will, there's a way, and when there's a will, there's a game coming back to full and live. So, we're back. No need to fear. Team Liquid is here.
Team Liquid is here. Now, Bradley does have the Alistar ultimate, which is the most important part, right, of the Silas kit, it feels like at this point, just because they aren't particularly strong on their own. They're effectively like a full item down. But Palafox, who's hiding in the bush?
Bjergsen.
Bjergsen?
Well, oh, and
They
Bjergsen
timed
gets
out!
a surprise, and Palafox, the CC chain combo between the Fears and the Roots, doesn't even give it an opportunity to use the package to escape, or even the flash.
I need a replay of that. I need a replay of that so badly. And if you could, like, show me Corky's cooldowns while you do it, I would very much appreciate it, because I'm pretty sure Palafox's package timed out less than a second before Bjergsen went in.
Oh, don't say that.
I think so. It's one of those, oh my gosh, are you serious moments, because the crowd controllability, the unstoppableness of the package was missing. But hey, we were saying that Bjergsen needed to make some plays. That is step one of probably like 12 steps, but step one, yeah.
Oh no!
Moments before he had the package, and it disappeared.
That is
Sag.
Yeah, that's a Sag moment.
I've said before, like, there are some things that it's really hard to blame players for, and that's one of them, right?
Well, you know, to their credit, like you said before, Bjergsen trying to make some desperation plays and finding ways to get gold back into their pockets, right? Trying to stall out this game as long as they can, because, you know, there is a world.
Okay.
Okay. Rhino trying to catch out Breezy. They forced out the Unbreakable Will. No more damage reduction after it times out, but now the rest of Team Liquid have to be on the run, right? Armeo still has Flash, so even if Cataclysm comes out from Rosethorn, he can still always escape it. Palafox has joined the party as well. A teleport from Dokla allows him to give CLG full 5 minutes. Oh, that's a money shot if I've ever seen one. Cataclysm into 2-man, knock up Bjergsen, and Armeo and Rhino are gone just in the blink of an eye. Bradley tries to save the situation, but he can't turn around once it's already been done. CLG will now push 5-man strong.
Rosethorn is looking so good this game. Give him these early game junglers, Rafa, and he's going to take over the game. Okay, you gotta be a little bit careful with your HP bar there, but it is going to be okay. 309. It is so easy for the rest of the team to follow up on everything Rosethorn is going for. And it's not like he's making these crazy plays, right? It's not like he's going for, you know, these mechanical outplays. He's just saying, I don't think you're going to expect me to be here, and I'm going to get a fight started in ways that my team can easily follow up on, and he is currently deathless. Like, look at this. He just captures multiple people, and it allows Breeze to come in with an easy knockup. Palafox is there with a lot of easy damage, and Rosethorn, just as soon as the turret goes down, instantly over the wall, ready to go for a fight.
11,000 gold now is the deficit for Team Liquid. You know, we talked about comeback potential. That was when it was, you know, 7,000, 8,000. But when you're over the 10K gold mark, it is pretty damn hard. You would have to unplug CLG's computers at this point.
Yeah, so let's start thinking about the second half, right? You know, what can Team Liquid do? What can Team Liquid do to actually have a more competitive second half than this first half, right? And I think the easy answer is if Team Liquid are going to remain on the red side, you just need to get a ward down so you can see Rosethorn going for this game, because that was the second time in a row where he came from behind the bottom lane turret, and now they have so much control that they can hit this Baron basically with impunity.
Now, to give a little credit to Rosethorn, he came out with an altered path that just wasn't a full clear, and then boom, bot side. He looped back around after 3 camp clearing the top side and going back to a side of the map where, you know, Team Liquid, I just don't think they were expecting. Now, Breezy really wants this engage.
Got both.
He's just going to force it his way through. Rhino doesn't have a chance to pop Flash. He goes down. Prismal, Moonlight Vigil goes wide, but he doesn't even need it. Prismal is just going to be able to flash forward and Gale Force forward, taking out Yawn. And now, CLG Academy will start setting up the pieces to close out this game.
Yeah, it's time to set everything back up for the next game. This is looking like it's about to be a wrap. I don't know if they end right here, but they get 3 inhibitors at 22 minutes. It's not going to be a whole lot long before this game actually closes out. It would take a monstrous effort coming out from Team Liquid to even, like, potentially pick up a dragon and trade on the map, and CLG are just baiting them.
Hex Flash in, catching out Rhino. He still has Flash available. He finally gets the chance to use it this time around. Won't get caught out this time. Bradley dashing forward. Armeo also potentially on the flank, but Dokla is just saying, wait, you're pretty darn squishy. I'm going to go for you. Forcing Armeo's flash. Rosethorn actually falls to Yawn. Team Liquid Academy able to fight back and catch out a stray member of CLG. This will force them back and not give them a chance to do Baron anymore.
But at the same time, Team Liquid, that is all they get. They got the shutdown onto Rosethorn. There's a dragon on the map. There's a lot of turrets that they could potentially be hitting, but they can't do any of that because they are confined to their base by 3 waves of double supers. At this early in the game, these take a long time to clear, so Dokla and Prismal very comfortable hitting this because they know nobody's going to be walking over. Armeo, he's going over just to try and get some vision down so that he can attempt to steal sometime in the next, like, 30 to 40 seconds.
They're getting vision control on this side of the map as well. A couple wards down onto the Baron pit. Breezy answering back. Oh, all right. Double teleport. We're back on the map, baby. CLG Academy going to be trying to flaunt their way in full style. Taking control of this jungle quadrant, and Armeo. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Goodbye. Was nice knowing you. We're kind of seeing the difference this game between Rosethorn and Armeo too, right? Like Rosethorn, nice block. Rosethorn is very, very willing to be aggressive with his shot calling, whereas in the early game, whereas Armeo tends to be a lot more steady and really like finds his stride later on in the game and finds a lot of opportunities to just take even to slightly losing situations and turn them into hard winning ones with his ability to engage. Unfortunately, when you are this far behind, Armeo's playstyle doesn't work.
Just kind of holding on to an explosive mid-game, but oh my goodness, Dokla just playing with style. Having the Shuriken backflip back in the Shroud so he can always go back forward. Doesn't kill Bradley quite yet, but Nexus Turret 1 will fall, Nexus Turret 2 will fall. We've got double super minions pouring into every single lane. So now no matter what happens in this fight, the supers will be able to end the game. Team Liquid Academy doing the best they can to defend, but CLG Academy are going to be the ones that emerge victorious in this first opener of the series.
Going to be a pretty dominant victory coming out for the side of CLG. They put the finishing touches, and fortunately, Dokla gives over his second death of the game. But ultimately, I mean, big props, especially to Rosethorn in this game for looking so dominant across the board and setting everybody up on his team for success. So he's got really high KP. He's looking really good when you give this guy a lead. The biggest thing that we're going to have to see is, you know, what can Rosethorn do other than that early game gank coming from behind the turret? Is there another way that he can build these early advantages?
If they take away the Jarvan away, if they try to just say, you know what, let's just make sure that Rosethorn doesn't have access to any of the early games or early game gankers. Now, the other thing that they could also do is try to be able to find better ward control vision setups. Now, to be fair, they had a pretty damn good ward setup because they warded out the Raptor camp, they warded out the Gromp, so they knew his level 3 clear, and that protected Bradley from getting ganked. But the fact that Rosethorn had the awareness to loop back around and go through a part of the map that wasn't covered and catch Yawn and Rhino by surprise, pretty damn impressive.
We'll see if he can continue it, right? It is a big question. Every single time CLG have gotten the early game lead, they've smashed, right? Going up against Team Liquid, which a lot of teams had pegged as potentially one of the best in the Academy's split, is really impressive, right? CLG has been a roster that has kind of struggled for a long time, but it seems like they finally found a potentially winning solution.
Yeah, well, we are getting word that we're going to be... okay. Well, while we are getting ready for Game 2 between Team Liquid Academy and seeing how they bounce back against CLG Academy, we have a very special segment brought to you by Mad the Magical. It's called In the Lab.
Come in, welcome! This is In the Lab with your mad scientist, myself, Mad Magical, and what's that look for, huh? My qualifications? Oh, here's my degree, and here's my license in mad sciencery. Anyways, where was I? Oh, right. I've been in the lab, toiling away on the next new dark tech, and after consulting with some of my fellow academics, remember to always cite your sources, kiddos, and thank you to those that help. What if Support Syndra could be the next big thing? And with any good hypothesis, the proper equipment is required. First, Keystone. Most seem to think Summon Airy is the best option for additional poke in the laning phase. Electrocute is a viable secondary option for even more. Well, for Mythics, the choice is up to you. Any mage mythic can be argued for, and also games can change, varying on everyone. No two games will ever be the same. Except for your skills, every game is the same. Qmax, Emax, done. But what am I but a mere gold support player? That's why I brought in some of our players in our Academy League to help reinforce my hypothesis and tell you why it is correct.
If it was meta, it'd be pretty cool because it's really creative, and at the same time really lame because it's a flex pick, exactly what League of Legends needs.
If it became meta, I mean, that's a lot of work to learn a mage champion like that. There's a lot of nuances in it. So I don't think I'd be too thrilled about it. Actually, I don't really like playing versus the champion to begin with when it's mid lane. It's kind of annoying, the stun range, so I'd rather just not play it.
She also provides reliable CC later and can realistically be flexed into 4 lanes, so she's really flexible.
Well, I know who I'll be keeping my eyes on in the future. And to the surprise of Breezy and the dismay of Joey, the experiments have already gone live in the Proving Grounds Circuit Open Qualifiers. Not just one, but 2 whole players have played it. This will help solidify my hypothesis yet.
Guys, hold on. It's Syndra support.
Flexibility, like Skytech had so aptly called, this offers yet another lane that Syndra can go into. And Breezy even said it himself. We've expanded the pool. It's not just 2 or 3, but maybe 4 or 5 roles that you can be flexing to now. So many different options, so many opportunities. But that's not all.
It makes sense. The Syndra does have the range advantage over the Lulu and the Aphelios here.
Skytech again with the big brain. Enchanters such as Lulu don't like her in their lane, and imagine the scars you can inflict on their hearts and souls when you lane up against them. But also recently, we've discovered that Syndra might have more than just one button. She might actually have more.
Yeet and Bellow as they try to be able to get some momentum going. Going over to Radiance here. Doesn't get the turret plating. Oh!
Q, then E, Q, then E. There's nothing they can do to stop you. You control the wave, you control the lane. Melee champs fear you, enchanters want to be you. You're in their mind. It's foolproof. But maybe our Academy players brave enough to try it will have better luck. Until next time, get out of my lab.